Hello and welcome to this week's News Roundup. I am Caleb Havanka, your host, here to deliver to you the top 5 news articles of the week. Let's begin. Number 5, China seeks ways to prevent potential Western sanctions. According to the Daily Mail, Chinese officials held an emergency meeting with China's financial institutions to defend the country from potential economic attacks from Western sanctions. The West's harsh economic sanctions on Russia prompted the emergency meeting. The U.S. is thought to be considering proportionate sanctions on China in the event that it invades Taiwan. According to the Financial Times, a source was quoted saying, quote, China's banking system isn't prepared for a freeze of its dollar assets or exclusion from the SWIFT messaging system as the U.S. has done to Russia, end quote. So this makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, China saw the devastation U.S. sanctions had on the Russian economy, and China doesn't want that to happen on theirs. But it does, make you wonder why China is having this meeting now if it's not planning on something big, if it's not planning on making a global power move like invading Taiwan. So we shall see what happens. I mean, Western consequences are bound to follow if they're going to do something that the West doesn't like. So it's going to be interesting to see how they would get out of that. Number 4, Discovery Plus set to release docuseries about teenage drag queens. A new documentary series showcasing the lives of 5 teenage drag queens and their families is coming to Discovery Plus this summer. The series, called Generation Drag, is set to air 6 episodes in June. It follows the young aspiring drag performers as they prepare for Dragutant, a drag ball for queer teens hosted in Denver, Colorado. The American Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family, and Property launched a petition demanding the show be canceled. To date, the petition has more than 12,000 signatures. So yeah, of course, this needs to be canceled. No question about it. I mean, I saw the trailer to this movie, or to this show, I guess, and it's absolutely horrifying. Super perverse, super unnatural. They're literally encouraging young boys who identify as queer, I guess, or transgender or gay. They're literally, and I mean their parents, the culture, the people around them are encouraging them to dress up as women, to put makeup on. Not just dress up as women, but dress up as like almost prostitutes or very skimpy outfits. And then they encourage them to go on stage and perform sexual dances, seductive dances in front of other children and adults. I mean, this is grooming. This is straight up normalizing and desensitizing pedophilia. And so, yeah, we need to pray big time that this show gets canceled. And I encourage you to, click on this article. There's a link in the article where you can sign the petition. The more signatures, the better. So, yeah, I encourage you to do that. Number 3, Kinzinger introduces resolution to deter Putin from using nuclear weapons. Representative Adam Kinzinger said he has introduced a resolution to authorize U.S. military force if Russia uses chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Kinzinger said, quote, I don't think we need to be using force in Ukraine right now. I just introduced an AUMF, an authorization for the use of military force, giving the president basically congressional leverage for permission to use it if weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons are used in Ukraine, end quote. He stated this measure is a deterrent to Vladimir Putin. I don't think it is, in my opinion. I think this resolution will actually cause more harm than good. I've always said this American military intervention could escalate things into World War III. I think it's a bad idea. I don't think this war is worth American lives. Of course, my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, but I don't think this is a smart idea whatsoever. Number 2, DHS creates governance board to combat disinformation. I love this one. Secretary Mayorkas announced Wednesday that the Department of Homeland Security created a disinformation governance board to combat online disinformation. Federal and state lawmakers are expressing concerns with this new information board, which they say is the Biden administration's attempt to stifle free speech. Really? Senator Tom Cotton said in a tweet, quote, "The federal government has no business creating a ministry of truth. The Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Board is unconstitutional and un-American, and I'll be introducing a bill to defund it," end quote. Amen. Good for Senator Tom Cotton. I hope Republicans rally around him to get this done. But it's crazy because literally within the week of Elon Musk buying Twitter, the Biden administration sets up this board. I mean, the Democrats, they know that Twitter will no longer be able to do their bidding. There'll be no longer will they be able to censor the truth and control the narrative. And so this is kind of crazy stuff. I mean, this is literally 1984 George Orwell type stuff right here. And never in history, ever in history, was it a good idea for a government to set up a department of like truth, or a department of a ministry of truth that controls information and gets to dictate what is true and what is not. I mean, that has never been a good idea in history. So yeah, I hope, Republicans, there's a lot of them speaking out right now against it, and I hope they'll be able to defund it. Finally, number 1, Supreme Court leaked draft suggests Roe v. Wade will be overturned. Come on, let's go. A draft Supreme Court opinion overruling Roe v. Wade has been leaked to the press. In the draft, Justice Alito said, quote, "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives," end quote. The 67-page opinion says, quote, "We hold that Roe v. Wade must be overruled. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision," end quote. I mean, yeah, that's exactly right. I know a lot of people at first didn't think that this draft was legit. Like, no one knew if it was legit or not. But Chief Justice Roberts, he confirmed this draft was authentic 2 days ago. So it's legit. Roe v. Wade is essentially overturned. The Supreme Court voted to overturn it. And I think now they have 60 days before it's, after their draft opinion, they have 60 days before it's publicly released. But because of this leak, it got leaked earlier. I wonder why. I mean, the person who leaked it was obviously trying to get an uproar from the left so that it'll put pressure on these judges to basically change their mind, change their decision so that Roe v. Wade will stay in effect. So I pray that these justices will stay courageous and keep their vote, because this is a victory. This is a victory because what this means is that abortion will no longer be considered a constitutional right, and it'll be an issue that the states will have to deal with. Yes, I don't like it. It's not ideal that, some states can murder and other states will not murder. I mean, that it's not logical. It's immoral, but it's better than having a federal, law that says, oh, it's a constitutional right for women to have an abortion, which that is absolutely garbage. It's not a constitutional right to murder anybody. And so this is not the complete victory, but it's a step in the right direction. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's Roundup. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.